Okay, welcome back everybody. Let's look at the shutter speed assignment. For what we're going to be doing is we are going to showcase our knowledge and understanding of 3 different shutter speeds. So let's look at what the end product should look like. Once you get this all posted and ready on your photography page, lesson 3 will show you exactly how to do that. But lesson 2 is all about showing you how to operate the camera to make it do the things you need it to do. So we're focusing on unit 2, which is shutter speed, and you're going to show 3 different versions of the exact same composition. Okay, so we have labeled fast, medium, and slow. So shutter speed measures the amount of time that the shutter is open on your camera. If it's open for a very, very short amount of time, it is going to be able to freeze action. So if you zoom in here, let's see if I can get this zoomed in. I can't right now. Oh, there we go. If we get this zoomed in right here, you can see that this is frozen in place. Okay. Let's see. All right, and then if you go to medium, you'll see it is slightly blurry. It kind of freezes the action a little bit, but it does blur it. So the difference is here, nice and a clump right there that is very clear, crisp. This has a little bit of fuzzy edges. And then the slow shutter speed you'll see over here is blurred completely. So it shows a lot of action. Same thing down here, you're going to do a second one, which a fast one will freeze the action, medium will have a little bit of blur, and then slow would have a significant amount of blur. So much blur that you don't even think you can see what the object is. Okay? All right. So 6 images are required for this unit. You're going to have 3 across for the exact same composition and 3 across for a different composition with the same type of settings. And then for a bonus, you can do a drawing or writing with light, or painting with light is another way to look at it. So you take any object into a dark space, or you can even not have an object, you could just have light. Go into a dark space where there's no light coming in, open up your shutter speed for a long amount of time, and then illuminate it with a flashlight or a pen light or any kind of light. This was a pen light that was used right here. And you can illuminate the object. This is a skull that's been illuminated. And then you could also try drawing with light. So I'm going to show you how to do that inside here. So things to think about when you're getting ready for this assignment is, let's take a look at shutter speed and the basics of shutter speed. This is a shutter speed scale. So shutter speed on your camera will be shown, or even on your smartphone might be shown as just the number 8,000. It won't show the fraction necessarily. Some cameras do, some cameras don't. So you have to be mindful of maybe what that number is showing. And once you get used to it, you'll understand it. So this shutter speed scale goes to 1/8,000. So that's 1/8,000th of a second. So super fast. It's opening up really, really fast. And because it's opening up fast, these are the things that are going to be able to be visible. It's a short amount of time the shutter is open. So it's really, really fast. Because it's a shorter amount of time, less light is actually coming to the image sensor. Less light is coming into your camera. So if you imagine, you're going to have to be in a very well-lit situation to be able to afford a really fast shutter speed. So you're probably going to have to be outside on a bright sunny day at a soccer game or something like that where you can freeze some action. So the third thing here is that it freezes motion. So it will stop motion if somebody's going up to shoot a basketball into a basket. It will freeze that motion so that it looks like somebody just snapped a quick picture. There's no blur at all, okay? Because it's a fast shutter speed, your sensor isn't open for a long amount of time. It's not going to have as much grain or as much noise. The longer you have this open and it collects more information and it fills in some of the dark spaces, you might get some more noise or grain. Okay, so high shutter speed is going to be considered, or a fast shutter speed, these numbers right here, all the way from 1/8,000 to 1/500. Okay, so when you think about creating your composition for this project, think of anything above 1/500 all the way up to 1/8,000. Now, for a medium shutter speed, you're going to look between this scale right here. Okay, between 1/60 and 1/250. Okay, anything here is going to be medium. And then anything below is going to be 1/30 all the way down to 30 seconds. So this is a fraction right here, 1/30. And then it keeps going down. And then these turn into a quarter of a second, half a second, 1, 2, 4, 8, 15, 30 seconds long. That's a really long shutter speed. Okay. So let's take a look at some examples. Give me just a second to pull up some examples. Shutter speed that students have done in the past for this project. You saw my example. Let's look at some student examples. Okay, so this is a student example. You have slow, medium, and fast right here. You can see that she was swinging these, looks like little candle lights. Okay, so swinging the candle lights and showing the blurred action here. It's almost unrecognizable because it's blurring. And then right here, you can see it stops it slightly, but it's not as crisp. And then finally, the last one is very much in focus. Okay, same thing here. This girl is swinging her hair. And then as you can see, there's a lot less blur. And then finally, it freezes the action right there. Here's another example. So the student, you can see they're both dancing or jumping. And this has some blurred action here. This is medium blurred, and this is stop action right here. And then the same thing in the hallway. Somebody doing a backflip. You can see that there's a lot of blur here. There's a medium amount of blur, and then this is frozen. Now notice that the image does get darker right here. As long as I can see the image, that's okay. We're going to be learning about setting exposure later. So don't worry about it looking like it's not properly exposed just yet. I'm going to get you to that point soon. I love this example. This student did an example and set up a pyramid of cups and then had his friend kick the cups. And so you can see the blurred action right here of the cups. So it shows both the cups in place and it also shows them out of place. It's pretty cool. And here you can see there's even some blurred action here with the medium and a little blurred action with his hand. But then when it comes to the fast action right here, you see that these are all frozen in place, really crisp, and even his hand and his leg is frozen in place. Notice again, it does get darker over here. We're going to learn more about that in the exposure unit. But as long as I can see the image, I think we're going to be okay with that. And then here's another example of a flag movement, slow, medium, and fast. You can even see the great wrinkles inside the fast action right here. This one's slightly blurred and this one is significantly blurred. You can do it with a water fountain as well. So you could go out to a park if you wanted to and try this, but make sure you're in the shade. If it's in the bright sun, you're not going to be able to get any effects like this in the bright sun. So make sure it's kind of shaded or near sunset time to be able to get the images that you need. So again, here, somebody on a skateboard in the hallway, slow, medium, and fast. Okay, here's some examples, student examples of drawing with light. So this person just went into a dark room, opened up their shutter speed for about 30 seconds, and then pointed the pen light towards the camera and did some just random drawings with their pen light. This kid had painted with light, so he's using a, it looks like a cell phone flashlight, and had his model sit down in the corner, spent some time painting him with light, and then asked his friend to sit over here, and then painted his face over here, and then asked his friend to stand, and then painted his face over here. So it's the same kid in the same photograph with the 30-second exposure. And you can even see the light here and here. The photographer has gone over and done that. I'm going to show you how to do that. And here's another example. Somebody is just sitting in a dark space. It looks like in a dark classroom and just doing some zigzag lines. This one too, she's holding a sculpture over her face, and you can see some light drawing coming in like that. And this one, she was holding a paint can and giving the illusion of spraying light from a paint can. So there's a lot you can even do with like sparklers or anything like that at night. You can twist lights at night and it'll create a streak effect. Why don't you go online and take a look at some other examples for light drawing or light painting. Okay, so one last thing I wanted to show you is a great Canon play exercise. This is a really good resource for you to use. It's linked to my Google Classroom. And what this is you're pretending that you have this scene in front of you, and this is your camera. And then you can figure out exactly what effects to put your, or what settings to put your camera at. So right now, this camera, this virtual camera, is set to manual. For this assignment, if you have it, you're going to be setting it to shutter priority, because you're going to prioritize the shutter speed and let the camera do everything else. So in this situation, you would put your camera on auto ISO. Okay. And you can see here, it automatically put it on ISO 400. Okay. So it's on shutter priority. The shutter speed right now is set to 1/8 of a second. Okay. You're going to have priority over that. This right here we're going to learn about this in Unit 4, but it's talking about your exposure. Is it a good exposure? If it's sitting in the middle, it's going to be a good exposure. I don't want you to worry too much about that right now, but if your picture is coming out black, if your picture is coming out white, and it's over here or over here, it's probably because your exposure is off. So this might give you a little bit of an opportunity to play around with the settings without getting frustrated. So let's start with a fast shutter speed, like 1/1000. Okay, and we have shutter priority, and we have this moving object right here. And let's see what happens when I take a picture. It freezes the action right there. Do you see that? Okay, I'm going to throw that. Oops, sorry, those are old pictures I took. Okay, so now let's try a medium shutter speed. So let's go to 1/60th of a second, and let's see what that looks like. Take a picture. You can barely see any of the propeller right there, because the 60th of a second is still considered pretty slow shutter speed, even though it's in the medium range. Let's try another medium range one to see if we get more. Let's go to 1/250. Let's see if that looks any different. You can see a little bit. That one might be a better example for your medium shutter speed, because you do still see the propeller. Okay, now let's take a look at a slow shutter speed, 1/8. You can't see it at all. Okay, so that's a very slow shutter speed. All right, so take some time to play around with this, and it's exactly what you would be doing if you have an SLR or a point and shoot camera, and possibly similar to a smartphone. I'm not sure if all smartphones have shutter priority, so we'd have to take a look at that. But set your camera to 1/1000, take a picture, try 1/250 or 1/60, that's up to you, for a medium, and then go down to a slow one. All right, that covers it. Now I'm going to get into exactly how to set your particular camera. All right, everyone, for this camera application, we're going to be looking through a smartphone. So I want you to open up your Pro camera, and I want you to set up your scene near a window light, or if you can, outside underneath a tree, so you're shaded, or beside a house where there is some shade. So you don't want it to be too bright, but you do need enough light to be able to do this project. Set up your smartphone so that you have a tripod of some sort. So right here you can see I've created 2 bricks, and I'm going to place my smartphone right between that slot to hold it up. You need an object that can move. Ideally, an object that can just stay in place and twirl like this would be really good. So if you have anything like that at home, choose that, because this isn't necessarily the best object to be using. Okay, so now that we're all set up, I want to teach you the modes that you're going to need access to. You're going to need access to your self timer on the left side. I set mine to 3 seconds because I'm here alone. I don't have anyone to help me. If you have someone who can help you by swinging something in front of you, or moving the roll of tape or whatever it is, then you don't need to set up your self timer. That's fine. The other thing you will need access to is the ISO and the shutter speed. So let's set up our very first shot. Okay, I'm going to set myself inside of this pseudo tripod. I am going to focus on my object. I'm going to come to the shutter speed, and I'm going to find something as close to 1/1000 for my fast shutter speed. As close as I can. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, and then ISO, you're going to choose that based on your picture scene. You don't want it too dark, and you don't want it too light. So right between for this situation is ISO 200. Make sure you're in focus and you're ready to take the shot. I've got my self timer on. You can see on the left for 3 seconds. And let's see what I can do. I'm going to push start, pick this up. Okay, and let's take a look at our picture. Now, do you notice that my picture is out of focus? And that is because there's something going on with my camera and the low quality of my camera. Yours should be in focus, hopefully, but I'm going to keep this as my example for now. So this one is a frozen motion shutter speed. So let's try our second photo. We have our first one. Let's try medium and see if we can catch a slight amount of blur in your picture. And hopefully your focus is working better than mine. So I'm going to change my shutter to 1/60. So it's going to be a much slower shutter speed. Get as close as I can to 1/60. And now obviously my ISO is way too bright. So let's see if I can come down some. Aha, in this situation, it looks like I am not able to come down any lower for my brightness at 1/60th. So let's see if, since I don't have aperture to play with, you can tell that this is already a problem. I'm going to go to a darker space. Ooh, that sounds deep. So when you have an issue like this, you're going to have to move somewhere darker. I'm going to move to the floor here. Looks like a better exposure. Okay, got the same scene. And let's give it a try. Oh goodness, it was on the right side there. Let's see if it caught any of it. Okay. We'll take that right now. The way things are going, I think I want to take that. You can see there is some blur on the right side. It did go off the scene a little bit. I'm in a darker space, and that's okay because of what the situation was for my my camera settings. So for my third picture, I have to change my shutter speed to 1/8. And as you notice, look how bright it gets.
gets super bright, so I can't shoot in that same location. So I'm gonna try inside of this dark closet here and see if I can get what I need. All right, here we go. It looks like the exposure is better. I'm gonna try shooting this at 1/8 with ISO 15. Let's see how it looks. All right, friends, I'm gonna tell you this, is that last image is supposed to show up really, really blurred. And I'm having the darndest time with my cell phone, will not take the last picture. It is my hope that your smartphone does take the last picture. I have no idea what's going on. I've tried this 15 times and it's not working. So hopefully yours works. And if yours does, let me know because I'm very curious on what I'm doing wrong. So for this creative photograph, I would like for you to try. I decided to download another app just to see what would happen. So I went to the Play Store and I typed in a search called Shutter Speed. And I came down and gosh, there was something. Oh, something called Slow Shutter Long Exposure Camera. I thought, let me just try that. So I downloaded this. It has ads in it, so it's pretty annoying, but let's just see what can happen with it. So I just opened that up. And watch out for ads. They're all over the place. Okay, so as you can see, I'm already looking at my setup here. It's doing some kind of ads. It's doing some kind of like psychedelic look to it. I kind of like it though. So I'm going to pause here and I'm going to open up a different app so you can see really quickly what I'm working on. So I have a closet space in here, no windows, and I'm going to turn the lights down really dark. I've got myself set up here with a little tripod so I can hold this up while I'm doing some work. I also have for me a little tea light. You can find any other kind of light that might work even better. And then I am using my skull as my subject. Why not? Skulls are cool. Skulls are cool. Boop, boop, boop. This is all just experimentation. We're going to see if it works, okay? All right, so let me go back to I'm going to pause this and I'm going to open up the other app. So I have opened up the app for the long exposure and I'm going to find out what I can do with it. Actually, you and I are going to figure this out together. So I'm going to set it inside my tripod space to see if I can get my skull in focus. And I see a slider down here. It looks like it changes the amount of time that your image is focused. I have no idea what I'm doing here, so you guys figure something else out. Let me know. I dropped my phone right before we did this, and I screamed really loud. I'm sure the whole school heard it. Okay. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to turn off the light. Whoa, cool. I am going to push the shutter button. I'm holding my lamp in my hand. I've got my lamp right here. Can you see that? Whoa, this is totally psychedelic. Okay, so I'm kind of enjoying this. Let me wait till that light goes away. And I'm gonna push the shutter button. And some ad is gonna come up. Seriously? Please close. Okay, I'm gonna push the shutter button. Oh, okay, so I don't push the shutter button yet. What I do is I start to create my image. So I'm gonna illuminate my skull with my light. And once I get it to the spot I like, then I take my picture. I can also turn the light towards me. When I like what I see, when I like the combination of what I'm seeing, that is when I take the picture. Oh my gosh, these ads are too much. Cancel. Okay. Oh, what did I just drop? Goodness. Okay. I'm gonna turn on the light so I can see what I did. Okay. Where did my picture go? Does anyone know? Okay, so I figured out where my photo was. It's so silly. The photo was right here on this app. If you see a black circle down here, down in the bottom right, it's because my image was so dark that you couldn't see it. So if I click on it and I open up my gallery, stop. Okay. And I'm so sorry, it's really dark, but my skull is down there at the bottom of this picture. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that I'm sorry, it's a bad example. My tea light was way too soft of a light. If you use a flashlight or any other kind of light that you can find, this is all that I had in my school. So hopefully you can make a better picture than what I did. So give it a try and see what you can figure out. Remember, this is just a bonus picture, so it's optional.